This is kind of a very wide topic, so let's do this a bit kind of specifically. We see startups discussing their growth and scaling, mostly startups from CE region, but from Baltics as well. And what we hear the most is about people. For a startup to grow, for a startup to succeed, it needs people, it needs talent, and without the talent, it can't grow. But we are here to discuss how to actually attract that talent. And maybe we can start with Estonia, because I think we all know that's kind of a bit of an elephant in the room, so let's start with this. That Estonia has been a tiny bit maybe more successful than the other Baltic states in building this international recognition. But maybe you can tell us a bit more what value that has brought. Do you think it has brought actual kind of real value in a matter of specific results, and what are the main takeaways that it has brought to your ecosystem in terms of people and the economy and the numbers?
It's very nice to be here. Startup Estonia actually released a week ago a startup ecosystem overview over 2019, and when I read it, I realized that we have 1,000 startups in Estonia already, thinking how small we are, and we have 6,000 people working in startups, and out of that already 30–40% are foreigners, so we're already attracting foreigner talent to Estonia as well. And startup visas are lots of foreigners coming in, and e-residency. So I think Estonia has done something right in that sense. So it's not even a branding Estonian talent, but also attracting talent around the world.
And thank you. And have you seen the need to promote this idea to your country as well? Because it's one thing to brand to the outside world, but have you also felt the need to brand this whole idea of Estonia as a digital nation to the inside community, and has that been easy or hard?
I think so far it's been done for outside, but Estonia is so tiny. I don't think there is actually, you don't have to put too much extra effort to it. Young people are very eager to learn, ambitious, and hunger for success is really big. So in Lift 99 community, I have young boys 18 years old who are already working in a big fintech field for US. So I see they're working 10 hours or 16 hours per day really hard. So they have found their niche already. So I don't see that we should put extra effort to actually sell this idea to young people.
Andris, I know you've done a lot of research on the brand of Latvia, and you've also done a bit of comparing how Latvia is seen in comparison on how Lithuania and the region and Estonia has done these things. And what are your main takeaways from this research?
Well, when you come to rankings, and we have there are different rankings where country brands are ranked in terms of innovation, in terms of creativity, you name it. In almost every one of them, Estonia is ranked higher than both South brothers. The good news for Latvia that Lithuania is in most of them lagging a little bit behind, but it's kind of changing because in Lithuania is also growing. Estonia is really quite ahead in terms of international recognition as a country brand. And of course, there's a lot of global media coverage on, you've been named Cyber Capital of Europe, you've been the whole e-citizenship has been widely discussed all over the world. So that's something that Latvia and Lithuania, I think, is still figuring out. What is the thing? Yeah? The good news, I know both in Lithuania and both in Latvia at the moment, finally, I hope finally, because we've been talking about it for years, about kind of country branding, but I think at the moment there's a real kind of energy in the process, and there's a real plan to have a clear direction, have a good story that we can kind of stand next to Estonian president and have actually something to say about our country, which was the actual problem like a year ago when presidents went to US and kind of Estonia talked about digital country and digital, cyberspace and cybersecurity. Lithuania actually got something to say about energy and fintechs. and Latvia just talked about everything, and basically there was nothing really standing out, which is a problem if you want to build a strong brand. But I think we got some plan on the table. I hope it works out. I'm involved myself, so I hope this time we have something more focused to share the world.
I actually have one idea for you.
Oh, please, please, Estonia, give us some ideas.
So when I do tours for delegations as well, how I tell them the story, how it all started, we always mention Skype. But all the developers who were Skype were actually the founders for the next startups. So I think the branding also was involved thanks to the 4 unicorns who we have. So TransferWise and Bolt have done a big job, even Playtech, who we don't talk about a lot. So thanks to them, actually, it all started. So take your unicorns and start to play with them.
Thanks to Latvian unicorns? That's good. So now, and when it comes back very shortly about the main findings on Latvia, because that was my main research, which I did for Berlin School of Creative Leadership, and there were 3 main kind of themes that everybody I interviewed from inside Latvia and outside Latvia, they could agree on the most. One was creativity, the other one was connectivity, and third one was the kind of natural green kind of environment. And I tried to combine them, and I came back to creative kind of the space for ideas, or creative playground, which actually have been used a bit already for economic brand of Latvia in different aspects of attracting investment. So I think there's something good that we can already kind of feel. We still need to kind of make everybody part of that story and actually formulate it more clear.
I think this also gives us a bit of another tricky question on, for example, Vytas, you have a job description and it says you're the country manager for Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia, not for the Baltics.
Right.
Yeah, why so? Why so, please?
Well, to be very fair, so first of all, let me say one thing. Awesome event, awesome venues. Guys, I so envy Riga for having such an awesome selection of
Space
venues.
for ideas, right?
Spaces like that. We don't have that in Vilnius. So kudos for that, and that's amazing branding for the country. I mean, having events like this. So coming back to your question, I'm actually country manager for Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. So unashamedly, I'm riding on Estonian fame a little bit internally at Google. But truth be told, internally we are branding as Baltics. And while it really took us a while, when I was saying I'm 8 years at Google now, so I've been really struggling for the first 3, 4, 5 years to gain attention from Google's teams. How do you get an attention for 3 individual countries of 3, 2, and 1 million people? And it was tough. It was really an uphill battle. But now, having Baltic branding, having the fantastic results that we have in terms of, especially the startups, you need content in order to communicate something, to have that branding. We have content. Look at what is happening with the startup space right now. If you take the amount of money, the venture capital money that is invested into the Baltics, we are larger than the rest of the Central and Eastern Europe region combined, which is absolutely staggering. Think of Poland, 40 million people. Ukraine, 40 million people. Czech Republic, 10 million. This is crazy. We have, 6, 7 unicorns out of, I think, 11 in the region. Again, I think we are being way too critical on ourselves in so many instances. We have this culture, perhaps, or upbringing a little bit where, and maybe that's good, because we strive for something more. We constantly are trying to find what to improve. But externally, right now, 2019, 2020, for me, is an easy year at Google, because I went from asking for attention, I'm going now into, I get to pick and choose whom do we interact with, because everyone wants to come. Everyone wants to see how the hell are you succeeding in bringing all of these amazing companies, in building this ecosystem. How did you do it? What's the secret sauce? So I think our branding is already there. We need to align and we need to capitalize on what we already have.
I think also following up on that, there's always this big question on whether we brand ourselves as separate countries or do we go there together? Is it Lithuania that goes to Asia and tries to bring talent over? For example, Live 99 just recently has branched out in Kiev. Maybe you can tell a little bit about that experience. But you very specifically went there as Estonia and bringing this talent to Estonia. And I think the follow-up question to that experience would be, what do you see as the benefits or the challenges on how to brand this?
So Lift 99 opened a branch or our sister hub in Kiev in April. So it's almost a year now. It's been a challenge for sure, but what we see in this last half year is there is more similar communities popping up. There's like, you take Ukraine, what's really, I see is strong. They are a community in that way, they collect the news and kind of have events together. So we even see competition inside Ukraine coming up, so it's, the ecosystem is starting to grow itself and already. But what we do in Lift 99 as well, we try to, what I did personally, we put together, for example, even Slack, so we put our international community together with Ukraine community, and we kind of give them opportunity to work together and find ways and startups to talk with each other. And I personally kind of matchmake them and say, hey, here's a Kiev startup in the same field that you are doing. Maybe you can collaborate, maybe you can do something. So we see Central Eastern Europe together. But also, like TechChill is really good for Baltics, but even, I think we could see even bigger. In Lift 99, we are organizing even bootcamp, 72 hours for already established startups in Tbilisi, Georgia. So in spring, we will have a second bootcamp coming up. So we want to see the Central Eastern Europe even together. For rest of the world, it's not even just Baltics, it's Central Eastern Europe.
So it's a good question, you know, it's always interesting. I think it was actually Estonia that coined the new Nordics. I'm a huge fan. I'm trolling all of our government officials whenever, like, we are the best in Eastern Europe. Like, what Eastern Europe? I mean, come on. So I think that's also another branding question, really, that we need to answer ourselves very clearly. There was a great study on public usage of regional affiliation. And it was very clear how Estonia went very fast from we are part of CEE to we are sort of CEE, sort of Nordics, and then we are new Nordics. While Latvia and Lithuania kind of stayed in the middle where we pick and choose whatever is convenient for us. If we are the best, then we are CEE. If something doesn't work, then we are kind of new Nordics. And I think it's a matter of real, well, communication strategy, but also a little bit of a country morale and having a vision for the country. Do we want to be the best in CEE, or do we want to catch up to the Nordics? And I think that's a big decision for us to make, but we need to stick to that because we can't constantly pick and choose where are we.
That's one of the reasons we recently actually rebrand ourselves to NORD DDB Riga, because just to really, and of course, the name comes from Nordic, and we kind of really build very close collaboration with our Stockholm, Helsinki, Oslo, and Copenhagen agencies. So together we are 400 talents, which is much more powerful group of people. And why I'm telling this, I think one day when we will understand that we, as the Baltics, as a group, can influence a bigger change and kind of really affect, talent streams coming in and investors coming in, I think we will do much better.
I agree.
Because I think last 20 years we've been too much trying to compete, trying to kind of take away from each other, being very jealous about success in Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia. But I think if you go to Asia, if you go to States, I mean, there's no question. We have to sum up all the successes of each of three countries and promote it as one. And if you put together FinTech Paradise from Lithuania, Cyber Capital from Estonia, and whatever playground, and the fantastic sound engineering, and different other things that Latvia can be very proud of, I mean, it's all together. It's a powerhouse. I mean, and we have this Scandinavia design. We know there's region branding ground. We know Balkan weddings, right? So why not having this digital playground, very kind of,
100%
position for Baltics?
When it comes down, I fully agree. Once the investment comes, we can fight it out among the Baltics. But as long as it comes to the Baltics and not the Balkans. So I think that's, a good example for that was as well, even from my management, which is in CE, we were doing like a business review for like strategy 2025, and we're doing again slides on our, like, look at our export, look at how open economies and societies are, how the startups look like. Even like my VPs were commenting, like, stop with the slides comparing yourself to the CEE, because it's not a fair comparison anymore. The numbers are absolutely enormous. Of course, we also pick the right numbers, but like, it doesn't look fair anymore to CEE. So they're saying, like, compare yourself to Germany, to Nordics, even if you're not the best, that still sends a very different message already. So.
Yeah.
So, for example, yesterday we had Riga Venture Summit, and we talked about how the Baltic startup ecosystems are growing, and what are the numbers, and the number of startup visas given out, and the number of investments for the startups attracted. But at one point, I think the question is, we can compete with each other on these numbers, but for the people outside of the region, are these really the numbers that are relevant to them? As we usually talk about branding, we need to talk about what's relevant for the audience. And what do you think are the benefits of the Baltics that might be actually relevant for the audience that would convince them to invest here, or to move their startup here, or to come to work here?
I can start about work part, because I see people moving more and more to Estonia and even the Baltics. I have people from US, from Japan, from China. They're like, they just love the Baltics because of the nature, because how secure it is, how less time you use for commuting, and it's convenient for them. The family and life and work balance here is so much better. And they see us as one, actually. I had so many tourists who come spend like half year in Tallinn, then they go to Riga, then they ask what they can do in Vilnius. I'm like, I don't know, but I will find out. But
Come visit us, we'll show you around.
But,
if you can find Vilnius, of course.
but I see that, that the biggest competitive advantage I see is the nature and it's how small it still is compared to the rest of the world, the big cities, and there's also lots of other benefits, but this is I see the most lately. Yeah.
So what do you think? What are the benefits? What we can sell?
For people to invest, of course, they want to see numbers still. Even if they like the forest we can be proud of, and the big wild sea beaches, but I think they want to see numbers. And 7 million people always sound better than 2 million people. All the universities combine in, in Riga we have this Baltic IT leadership school now, or we have different schools in Estonia, Lithuania. If you combine the resource, the talent pool, again, it's much bigger pool you can offer, because they always look for, the market size, the talent pool, and then maybe some qualities, And again, those things combined, we are much stronger. And the presentation, the pitch will look, bigger if we put it all together. So we can still talk about those, different flavors and different differences, among those three countries. But still, I think for a good pitch, it has to be very solid, strong, also in terms of numbers, and Baltics has
and we do have numbers.
better.
I mean, look, think about this. Can I ask for a quick raise of hands? Who loves the tax system in Latvia?
For alcohol, or which?
No, the overall tax system. Do you love your taxes that you pay here? Okay, 1 hand, 2 hands, 3, 4, 5. So do you know actually that Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, number 1, number 2, number 3 in the world in tax competitiveness rating across the entire world? We don't even think about these things. I mean, we just love to complain about stuff without looking a little bit, zooming out and seeing how we look. All of our countries have a CTO in place in the government. Not a lot of governments have that. All of our countries have KPIs for how many startups do we want to have, how do we want to look on ease of doing business. These are extremely progressive things. We can complain about the politics, but look, we are going that way. We're going that way, maybe a little bit like that. We're not going that. We're not going that way. We are living in such a luxury that so many other countries do not have in this day and age when everything is a little bit in flux. I think we really need to zoom out a little bit, see those numbers, build our story, build the narrative, strong narrative for the Baltics. We can build the narratives for the countries individually afterwards, but we need to be united, really telling the Baltic story and how amazing this place is.
We have started with some design examples here, but of course we need a bit more to really pitch Baltics.
What do you think are the best channels to do that?
People.
Well, of course, this is the one channel. Of
I'm
course,
a humongous fan of Estonian branding and how they do that. It's amazing to see how like, and I'm sorry for this, how many Estonians are there?
There is some, I think.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, that's going to be bad. Look, I mean, I love how you communicate the most digitally advanced nation in the world. This is amazing. Whichever Estonian you're going to ask, they're going to like, my country is the most amazing country on the planet. We are living in the cloud. Everything is on blockchain. Now, if you look at the Digital Economy and Society Index of European Commission, Estonia is number 11 within European Union in government services provided to the population. Lithuania is actually a little bit better than that. Who cares? Fake it till you make it. Push the message. I mean, push the message. Everyone is so united in that. There is so much confidence. I love it. I mean, and this is what we are lacking in Latvia and Lithuania. Push the message. I mean, we're going to build it. We are young countries. We need to hustle. If we are going to be able to push out the message, we are going to build those things as we go. That would be my way of doing it. I don't know.
I think from our countries as well, Estonia right now is one of the first who actually has kind of boots on the ground in other countries, which, for example, we mentioned this Lithuania in Ukraine, and you're doing things in Georgia, right? And maybe you can tell about how, is that working to bring talent also over to Estonia, or is it more about building the ecosystem there, or does it also bring the benefit back to your country?
I think it works both ways. I even see going Estonian companies to Ukraine. So it works both ways. So we have maybe the network outside of CE and Baltics for them to offer. And they have the talent for us to offer, and maybe we have more experience in some parts. They have more manpower behind it. So it works both ways. I wouldn't say we just attract them to come here. So I see even like startups moving there because of the talent is there. So they just move some people there. So.
Yeah, I think we really need to think long term, because short term it is a little fearful to discuss also in advertising business. We have better friends in Stockholm than we have in Vilnius or Tallinn, because we kind of compete for the same Baltic
market
clients or Baltic campaigns, but I think we still need to kind of change the switch to, if we collaborate, if we combine those forces, we can attract big fish from Europe, not just try to run for the same couple of fishes here in Baltic. So I think it really makes sense to do more Baltic events, Baltic level conferences, Baltic level exhibition shows or trade shows or whatever appearances in a big global forums. We have to stick together. I mean, I think we already have Magnetic Latvia, whatever packaging for Latvia stands, and you have something for Estonia, and you obviously have a sandbox in different ways. I think Biennale work was amazing, like True Sand, the golden winner of architecture Biennale or design Biennale. But I think if we would do Baltic kind of pavilion, I think we would definitely benefit more, because we can, if we collect those resources all together, we definitely can make a bigger impact. And so let's start here. I mean, TechChill is already Baltics. We do Baltic brand ranking. Next TechChill is Baltics, yeah?
This year is green, next year
we started to rank Baltic startups in one ranking last year. I really hope we can manage to continue this year, and we already invite everybody from startups from all three countries to make sure you take part in it, because that's again a fantastic way to see like how many we have, in how many industries we do have the most successful startups at the moment, and really probably present some of the best ones whenever we go abroad, or have investors coming here in Riga or Tallinn or Vilnius.
Sure.
Yeah.
When we talk to startups who often are born global from day one, and then they work often from Los Angeles or San Francisco, or they go and sell in Asia, and we sometimes see this challenge that we think of strategies and we think of messages right here maybe in the Latvia or even in the Baltics, but it's still very confined in our region, and we kind of find it very hard to get this message out there, because of course we can build events, we can bring as many people as we can over here. I think the bigger question is, how can we get ourselves heard out there, because of course Silicon Valley is very far away from here, but at the same time, that's the reputation that matters for the startups who are growing, for our future unicorns. They need to see that we are welcomed there, that we are known there, what is our brand there. Sometimes, I think my first question is, what do you think our brand is right there? Maybe if it's blank, there's a use of that as well sometimes. And if not, how can we get our message far away from ourselves, far and wide?
Through people. It's us, we are the ambassadors of the message.
I think we have full, hall of brand ambassadors here. I think if we kind of all would agree, that makes sense. And we have, I don't know, a platform where we would collect all the most amazing stats and examples from all three countries. That's easy to share. Sorry?
The same branding
here. It can be different one, but I mean, if we have one platform, we can easily pick, most amazing examples from Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, easily usable, for presentation, for pitch, for event. I think that would kind of help to have more brand ambassadors out there, because actually, if you take tourism, this is already how it works. I mean, people group from China, when they come to Baltics, they never come for Latvia. They never come from Estonia. Even German tourists, those, 60, 70-year-olds, they always come for 3 Baltic, experience. That's kind of the complex, the package they are looking for. So why do we try to kind of fight against how global, how people from abroad already see us, if we can just really kind of try to put those things together?
I fully agree. So, I mean, tourism is another thing, right? You can have magnetic Latvia, real is beautiful for Lithuania, or something like that. Business is a little bit different. For business, you need other stuff. We have been long crying about the brain drain that is happening in the Baltics, and this was extremely heavy, obviously, in our countries. But we can turn that now into our advantage. We have people who have made careers in international companies. Let's be very open and frank. Many of the Baltic successes, if you look at them, why did this company pick this country? Because the VP is from Latvia or Lithuania or from Estonia. It's very personal. It's a personal business. I mean, the numbers are always a little bit nice here and there, but then you come down to personal preferences. Do we have an ambassador who is pushing this? And we have those people. We have all of the expats, but we need to give them content. Give them content because they are going to be able to tell that story. They are going to be able to sell it. We already nicely copied across the Baltics. I think all 3 our countries have identical structure where we have an investment, an export, and entrepreneurship agencies. That's the Irish model. This is the 1980s Irish Tiger, Celtic Tiger model, which they implemented, having semi-independent, very powerful agencies with wide array of tools what they can do. What they did is they activated the Irish diaspora across the world. It, of course, helps that 60 million Americans are identifying themselves as having Irish blood, including Kennedy and everyone else. It's important to be Irish in USA. But then again, they gave them the messages. They gave them the tools. They offered anyone on the streets in New York and Brooklyn, if you manage to invite a business to Ireland, then we're going to pay you like $5,000 premium. I mean, do you think that worked a lot? I don't believe so. That like someone working for a pizza shop would invite his boss to open up a pizza shop in Ireland. But he was telling the story. He was telling the story left and right, and I think that this is what really created the momentum for them.
So to conclude, it's the message and the messenger and working together.
Yes, and United Baltics.
And United Baltics.
Sounds good.
Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot for this great discussion on this.
Thank you.